Hello, my name is Suzanne and I am the co-owner of SSES along with my husband Jeff. SSES, which is SS Educational Services, will be the only endpoint assessment organisation specialising solely in early years and children, young people and families. Thank you for watching the short video. I'm going to start with a little bit of history and the reason we are an EPAO. After that I'm going to walk you through our endpoint assessment roadmap, which helps you get from A to B, from the start to the finish. Okay, about me. I left college at 16 and completed my NNEB training, which NNEB isn't around anymore, but it was when I was doing it. Since then, my whole life, both professionally and personally, has been involved in early years, children, young people. When I first finished college, I did a few interesting years as a nanny and then a great few years on a hospital and children's ward. After that, I decided to set up my own day nursery. I ended up with two, very successful. I managed them and ran them for about 15 years. It was during that time that I first got involved in apprenticeships. We started employing apprentices and I realised I had a real love and passion to help them develop and teach them skills and experiences and knowledges that I'd gained. So that sort of led me on to the next step in my career. I became qualified as an assessor and then as a teacher. So I was delivering childcare courses and playwork courses for both private sector and public sector. I did that for quite a few years and I loved that. In more recent years, I've set up a training provision for a group of nurseries who wanted their own training in-house. I got involved in the university helping set up their apprenticeship provision. They delved into apprentices once the apprenticeship standard became available and the apprenticeship levy, so I was involved with that. And I was headhunted to help a failing group of nurseries to turn them around. So got a huge amount of experience in all sorts of different areas, but all culminating around early years. On a personal level, I have children, birth children, stepchildren. I have a daughter I adopted who has complex special needs. So there isn't much we haven't done in childcare that we don't know much about. When the children got older and left home, we actually missed having them around and having something to offer. So Jeff and I both became foster carers for our local borough, and that's brought a whole new load of experiences and emotions. And that's pretty much led us to where we are now with the Endpoint Assessment Organisation. I was really pleased when the government said that they were introducing the independent endpoint assessment. Personally, I think it was long overdue, but obviously it has to be done well. As a small family-run organisation, you will develop a relationship with the same person year on year. We plan to have a small, constant team. We are able to fully support the apprentice, the employer, the training provider, because we've had personal or professional experience in all those areas, so exactly what you're going through and what support you need. We decided to not be an EPAO for lots of different roles. We decided to stay with early years. It is our strength, children and young people, early years. It's what we've done all our lives. We feel we can offer you something that others can't because we have that personal experience. We also feel because we are specialising, we plan to be one of the best in the field, if not the best in early years, because we are not expanding into too many other areas. And I think that's pretty much it. We aren't yet known to a lot of training providers, but the decision isn't with the training provider, it is with you. So they might say, well, we use A and B. Please consider us, please consider C as an option. We offer reasonable fees because we are small, but small doesn't mean that we're any less competent. We are very competent. We wouldn't be qualified with Ofqual, hopefully in a few weeks, if we weren't able to deliver an excellent endpoint assessment organisation. So that's a little bit about the history. What I want to do now is actually walk you through our roadmap. We've tried to create something that's relatively easy to understand. We know how busy employers are. You haven't got time to get bogged down with hundreds of bits of documents you've got to read and papers you've got to fill. So we've produced a roadmap that's very simple, guides you from your first introduction to qualification. So now we're just going to pause the video for a split second while we pop up the flowchart. Thank you. Hi again, welcome back. We are having to do this, I'm afraid, in my garden because we had no idea how big this is. So if you hear the odd bird cheeping, then I do apologise. But anyway, to get on with it. So this is our roadmap. We've created this to help apprentices, employers and training providers understand how to get from the start of the apprenticeship when it comes to the endpoint assessment right through to the end. So here we've got begin, meet the employer. There's no hard and fast rule as to how soon we should meet with you, but actually obviously the earlier the better, the longer chance we have to develop a relationship, understand the gateway requirements, the better. So we can meet with you, have a chat, hopefully you decide to use us, and then we have a business development manager who will organise all the various contracts and that, and then the programme support team get on with building the profile for the apprentice to ensure that she's on the system. You can access that system so you can add things to it if you need to. And then every 12 weeks, depending obviously how soon you join with us, either the business development manager or the programme support team will contact you, have a chat, make sure things are okay, see if we're still on target for the gateway date. Until we do get to gateway. So at gateway, we ask you to provide all this evidence. Now that's in our step-by-step guide, which is on the website. You can download that, have a look. All the documents that you need are on there, all the forms you need to complete, so it's all in one handy document. As you can see, level 2, a level 3 qualification. Some of these are required by the Trailblazers that created the standard. There are a couple of extras that we feel for best practice, enhanced DBS, and the 12-week tripartite reviews we think are really useful to see how the apprentice has developed. They're not absolute requirements for the minimum set of the gateway, but we do feel they add value to your apprentice's gateway. The programme support team will then go through everything, make sure you've submitted everything correctly, it's all dated, signed, everything that needs to be done, and then when they're happy, it hands over to the assessment team. If they're not happy, they just get straight back to you and say, do you realise you've missed, maybe you've forgotten to pop in the paediatric first aid certificate. They'll just contact you and say, could you just quickly upload that, and we can get on with that. The assessment team then do two things. They contact the apprentice with a mock knowledge test, give them the opportunity to complete that. The apprentice does that in their own time. We don't need to sit with them to manage that. They are trusted to be able to run the knowledge test for themselves. And then when the apprentice feels ready, she or he lets us know. We organise the multiple choice question. We can do that either online or face-to-face, whichever works best, whichever we've agreed with. These are the sort of things we discussed pre-gateway. At the same time, the assessment team will also have given our independent endpoint assessor the apprentice details and their portfolio. She'll spend a few hours going over it. They're not remarking, that's not their role. Their role is to pull out bits of evidence, maybe find an area where your apprentice is a little bit weaker, and she can write that down as little notes and use that to engage in the professional discussion. Okay, so then we move on to the 90-minute professional discussion. As I say, they will have picked out some questions from our question bank. We have a large selection of questions that they'll pull out at random, and then it will be completed with questions they'll have found from the portfolio. If maybe they felt that the apprentice's area appeared to be a bit lacking in certain types of behaviour, then they might aim their questions towards that, just so they can confirm where they feel the apprentice is. And those questions can make the difference between your apprentice getting a pass or getting a distinction, so they really are worth asking and probing a little bit more. The independent endpoint assessor will then do a report afterwards. That will be moderated by our internal team, and assuming that everything's gone well, you'll be contacted and the certificate will be arranged. If there are areas where your apprentice has struggled a little bit, if we need a resit, that's there somewhere, then the business development manager will be in touch, discuss whether we're looking at a resit or a retake. There is a difference, and we'll arrange to rebook the assessment when we feel that the apprentice is ready. And I think that's pretty much it. As I say, it's very simple. It's very much, here we are, this is where we need to be. We can get from A to B quite simply. We will help you and support you all the time, all the contacts. We have all the templates. and hopefully at the end of it your apprentice will come up with a pass and or a distinction. Thank you.